They don't say stop paying taxes to corporations. They don't say stop paying your payroll taxes, do they? They don't say stop paying your quarterly income taxes for those who pay quarterly income tax. No, you're still paying and paying and paying and paying. Okay, well, what's that money going for? Government. The problem is that they spend too much. It's that simple. The General Accountability Office, the GAO, which is actually one of the better departments of the federal government because it has as the responsibility to oversee waste, fraud, and abuse. It's got a big job on its hands. It put out a report, I think it was about a month ago, and their warnings were really quite remarkable, incredibly alarming. This is an agency of the government, which is separate, but not separate, if you understand what I mean, independent, I suppose. And it, and even the Office of Management and Budget under Biden, and the Congressional Budget Office under Congress, they all together pulled their numbers together and took a look at what's going on, particularly since COVID. You had the massive spending in 2020, which we were told was one-time emergency spending, temporary. And then you had spending on top of that in 2021 and spending on top of that in 2022, one bill on top of the next. And I kid you not, the report is a siren call. And they made it abundantly clear, and they used the phraseology that this course is, quote, unsustainable, unquote. Unsustainable, unquote. Have you heard that? Did anybody take that report and wave it in front of you or in front of the TV cameras? No. Unsustainable. What did they mean by that? They said this is the greatest increase in spending in peacetime history ever. Ever. And they're looking at percentages, not just absolute numbers. They also said the interest on the debt will soon be bigger in every annual budget than defense spending. They also pointed out that the percentage of the gross domestic product that is being spent by the government on the debt exceeds economic activity. That is, it's bigger than the economy. And they said also that the percentage of the GDP that the government is taking in a few years will be twice the size of the economy. That's unsustainable. And meanwhile, you have Bernie Sanders, you have Joe Biden, you have the slobs or the mob or whatever they call themselves, the Marxists, saying we're not spending enough. Ladies and gentlemen, that's why what Robert Reich is saying, and the Democrat Party is saying, and Biden is saying, and the media are saying, and phony law professors are saying, is so dangerous. We're headed down the road to bankruptcy as a nation and as a people, even with the debt ceiling cap. Can you imagine what would happen if this president on his own could do whatever he wants? Just think about what the Democrats have proposed. Getting rid of the filibuster rule so they have a one-person majority and they can ram through whatever they want. And even when they don't have a majority, they have the vice president, can ram through whatever they want. That's not the full-body politic talking. That's extremely partisan. They want to change the Supreme Court, the numbers, and pack it. They have open borders with millions of people coming into this country. Millions. Probably untold numbers. They have damaged our currency so much so that some nations are now not using the dollar as their currency or as their basis for currency valuation. They're now moving to China, or they're not moving to anybody. They're just stopping it. You see inflation through the roof, and their answer is to tax more and to spend more, which will truly push us into a depression. You can look at all these things, the ideological indoctrination of our children to hate one another, to become racists, the ideological indoctrination of our children about their gender, just so much that's taking place is so bad. And this is just more of it. They don't know how to handle an economy. They truly don't know how to handle an economy. All they do is spend. Well, that's not economics. And as I've said many times, the laws of economics are just as firm as the laws of physics. They don't change, regardless of what party's in power. And yet they are so committed to lifting the debt ceiling if they have to, and so forth and so on. Joe Scarborough is a nasty and stupid man. That's number one. I just want to make that clear. But used to be Republican. He used to complain about the Republicans. He complained that they weren't really conservatives, that they weren't balancing the budget, they weren't cutting spending, they weren't doing the things they should do. But Joe has completely, as they say, at least in my generation, jumped the shark. Or jumped something. Anyway, so he's completely idiotic. And he thinks this is all fantastic. Go ahead.
Joe, on the debt ceiling, you said they'd get there, but how'd they finally do it?
They had no choice. They got there. And, you know, we live in this world that's designed, this political world that's designed to promote.
By the way, you know why his name's on there? So he doesn't forget who he is. Go ahead.
Discord, division, hatred, where our political opponents are actually our sworn enemy. And I do know.
This is funny. This guy trashes Trump, trashes DeSantis, trashes everybody, says the nastiest damn things. They're in love with him at that lousy site, Mediocreite. Dan Abrams founded that site. And he's pounding away. And we're such a divided nation, and the adults are now in the room. What's he, schizophrenic? Go.
There are far too many people who want to set aside democratic elections. We saw it happen on January the 6th. There is much to mourn about the direction that.
What does this have to do with January 6th? God. Go ahead.
Decided to take this country in, but you look, Willie, and you see that you actually have in Joe Biden and here Kevin McCarthy, but you have a Democratic president and a Republican Senate and now House.
Hold on. The Senate's not Republican. It's Democrat. And talk about suck-ups and slobbering. This guy with it took one state dinner, and they love their Joe Biden. They used to love Donald Trump. These are two chameleons. Go ahead.
That have worked together in pretty historic ways over the past year and a half, getting bipartisan legislation. And let's look
at bipartisan. There's one piece of legislation which the idiot rhinos in the Senate voted for to help push inflation through the roof and increase the debt, led by the late, great Mitch McConnell, and the other gutless wonders who followed. There's about 17 or 18 of them. It wasn't even a majority of the Republicans, but it's bipartisan. Let's hold them there. Here's my question, lady. What is the goal? Is the goal to be bipartisan, or is the goal to do the right thing? What is the goal? And why is it always bipartisan if you agree with the Democrats? When the Democrats don't agree with the Republicans, it's not pressure on the Democrats to be bipartisan. Have you heard any pressure on Democrats? You got to support the Republicans here. They're trying to get spending under control. Nobody says that, right? This is the media in America. Media in America. Why won't the Democrats help McCarthy and the Republicans to curb the debt? Those words are never spoken, especially by this pea-brain. But you understand what I mean? It's always, when will the Republicans come to their senses and support the Democrats? And bipartisanship. Go.
Kevin McCarthy really quickly here. This is Kevin McCarthy, who many said for quite some time, for good reason, were concerned that he was going to go sideways on supporting freedom fighters in Ukraine. We heard him shut down that Russian reporter, said, get out of their country, stop killing their children, stop committing war crimes. And here, you know, the nation's economy was on the line. And, you know.
Nation's economy, you know. It's always good to see Joe really prep for his program. I mean, he's filled with, generalizations, Anyway, the economy First, Yellen says we have till June 1st. Then she says till June 5th. The fact is we have several more months. And then what happens in several months? Then they have to slash programs. What do I keep saying? The money keeps flowing into the federal government. They don't say stop paying taxes to corporations. They don't say stop paying your payroll taxes, do they? They don't say stop paying your quarterly income taxes for those who pay quarterly income tax. No, you're still paying and paying and paying and paying. Okay, well, what's that money going for? Government. The problem is that they spend too much. It's that simple. And so they need to keep borrowing on top of borrowing. So why isn't that they ever say, stop spending so much? Isn't that what you would do in your own family? I want a Ferrari, I want a Maserati, I need to raise my credit card limit. What would Daddy say? I don't think he'd be very happy. Well, it depends. If you're one of these people, just raise the limit for God's sakes. Raise it.
Want to see more? Sign up for Levin TV.